Welcome back to gameplay. Okay, I'm going to try my best, my very, very best, to not ramble on and rant about AIs or other things. I have another video that I made, well, now it's a couple of days ago, addressing some other issues, not AI and gameplay, but other things. I'm still questioning on whether I'll release it or not. I'm thinking I will, but I wanted to make one just gameplay. Well, I mean, we're gonna, maybe talk some history while playing games, but keeping the game flowing, if you know what I mean. But we are going to be looking at some of the more interesting bits, which is Europe right now. Gross Deutschland is attacking or moving into Greek-held or Italian-held Greek area, it looks like. That's still just sort of a elite regiment, not a big division. Okay, Ecuador will no longer receive money for supplies. Okay, bridging equipment, great. That's really will help us out. Bridges. I found a picture of, I forget his first name, Bailey, who designed the Bailey Bridge for the Americans, and him sort of, don't know, what I use for thumbnails and what I use for event images are two different categories of things. I am very strict on event images. Yeah, I could maybe, well, I would if I'm being paid for something, but if I'm just making it to make it, you're only going to see stuff that would be seen at the time, in World War II era. Meaning it may be a modern color photograph of, say, of an Iron Cross medal, or some other thing, so it's a modern photo of a, old thing from the period, and that's how people would have seen it. Obviously, if they'd had it in their hand, it would be color and live, and obviously you'll have a modern photo of a period poster. But I don't knowingly use say a modern colorized image. Now, they did colorize images back then. Not just with color film, I mean taking a black and white image and go, hey, this would be better in color, and then colorizing it, and then doing a color print process, like in a magazine or something. So, I mean, there's many millions of them or whatever printed out, not each one hand colored, but someone would go in and hand color things well or unwell at the time. And I'd happily to use that because that's something you would have seen at the time. So I'm extremely reluctant to use a post-war image. Now, a late 1945 nice picture of Montgomery, yeah, okay, that's we're not it's no big deal, but I don't want to use something that's 10 years later, a photo of Montgomery that's that old. And for one of my event images, I went and searched hours just for one image of trying to find a photograph of Kurt Student. He's the basic founder, if you will, of the German Airborne Corps. I know many of you. Again, my audience is a lot of well-informed people, but also I know I got to bring along new people that don't know all this stuff. So, excuse me for giving you things that you already know, if you already know them. Without his sort of big Knight's Cross, the sort of bigger Iron Cross thing. Because he gets that fairly early in, I think, 1940 sometime, sort of post-Rotterdam airborne drop, if I remember correctly. And that's just almost every photograph of them has that. I was looking for one that was pre-war with him sort of, wow, they got so many. I guess these are an event. so many radars. If they built, they're either super beefed up with ICs, or there's some event. But you know, try to find one that was a pre-war photo without his Knight's Cross, and I finally did find one. It took me hours of looking, and so it's things like that. Now for thumbnails, I'm just trying to do something that's cool and will get you to click on them. We would give them money for metal. Decline. So yeah, I found the Bailey Bridge guy looking at a model of a section of the bridge. It may be post-war, I don't know, but I don't think it's much post-war if it is. So that would be an event to give a super good bonus to American bridging equipment, because it was the best in the world at the time. Nobody else could bridge rivers like the Americans could. And this is one thing, it really goes, you look at the Rhine, Hitler's blowing up the bridges on the Rhine in the Bridget Remagen movie and, real life. And of course, the Germans had pontoon bridges. That is something that goes back to, well, I know of at least them doing in the Napoleonic Wars. So presumably before then. In the 18th century, maybe even before, specifically military engineer, not just sort of like, well, what can we do? Well, let's collect boats. Yeah, that goes back to, I think, maybe Rome, but specifically a sort of designed wooden pontoon bridge. Going back to Alexander the Great, he gets across the Hellespont here. It's the Dardanelles. This is the Hellespont. The Dardanelles, I believe, on a pontoon bridge. Collection of boats, but it's more of a local creation and get the boats there to march across. But it's specifically, so obviously Alexander the Great wasn't the first one to do it. If we know that he did it, somebody else probably did something too. But the Napoleonic era, they had specifically built pontoons and wooden bridge sections ready to use, as opposed to like, well, we're here, let's find some boats and we could, put some wood down and, different things. So yes, the Germans knew about that, but pontoon bridges are vulnerable. They can only take so much weight. They, there's a lot of limitations to a pontoon bridge. And one of the vulnerabilities is go upriver, release something big but floats, smashes into it. So what the Germans perceived as a real defense barrier, the Rhine, wasn't such a big defense barrier to the Americans. Not that it isn't difficult. They were trying their hardest to capture intact bridges. They get basically one. But I think about that time, or very slightly, maybe even before that, as in a matter of a day or two, they're already, and I think mainly across the Rhine is pontoon bridge, because that's much larger than a Bailey Bridge. They're already bridging the Rhine. The Americans just had this supreme for the time period. I'm not saying, in a modern sense. Well, in a modern sense, we got some good bridging, but there's some other good bridging out there too. Okay, and elastic defense. And yes, we are going to keep the gameplay going, but yes, I'm also going to talk about things because I do have this concern of, right now particularly, of keeping you all entertained. Because as, yeah, let's jump over to Japan. Yeah. Nothing's going on. I sent some more forces heading over here. Here they are. Some ships. Now we gotta send the ships back to Shenzhen type area. And here, well, those are, we're gonna leave the Marines. We're gonna load up the light infantry here. That was part of the plan. We're leaving all the police here right now. And they can come over here. Light infantry should be good for going after these mountains and jungles. So yeah, I mean, there's things to do, but it's just not interesting. And I don't know how many people are going to watch my, if I'm even going to release my, probably I am, but still thinking on it. Thoughts video, shall we say, and it's regarding several things. Wow, that was a crash. Okay, that was a crash. That was interesting. It was a crash. Well, let's, instead of stopping this, let's restart. You're just looking at a black screen now. I'm talking here to keep you going. I think that was on a save, wasn't it? Let's see if we can see this. You're still on a black screen. And my I'm just right now sort of panicking as I don't want this series to end. If it's just some sort of save crash thingy, no big deal. Okay. Oh well, yeah. You hang on and look at that. Let me look over. For me at least, the music has stopped. Maybe for you. No. Sorry, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it was an autosave. Okay, I'm deleting it right now. I believe it's important to delete the zero size save. So that's probably just one of those things that would get a fair amount with this game. So we're going to start over. Yeah, it won't have my sort of improvements. Okay, so yes. I'm going it just because of pausing things. Okay, so let's keep this going and hopefully this will happen. Nothing I did was terribly important that can't wait a while. But to sort of get to one of the points is, and I'm not going to dwell on it, is making an interesting show for you. And see, that's I think is important, because right now I wouldn't. Yeah, okay, I think myself may be very fascinating for people to listen to, but I can understand people not. What did we do? What did we do? What did we do? What did we do? I forget. Oh, yeah, I think short HE barrel. Okay, Persia, we would give them fuel for money, sure. We give, or I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. We'll no longer receive money for fuel. Okay, you didn't need that very long, did you? No. Like I say, I was making an interesting show because there's at least, you know, one viewer, hi, who wants me to play Finland, and I think mainly with Hearts of Iron 4, but, and as I said, can I make that an interesting series? Not just an interesting episode, but an interesting series of playing Finland. And that's also why I am very reluctant to play the Soviet Union. It's not, and as I sort of said, sometimes people suggest these things and go, well, yeah, maybe someday. But someday isn't, because right now, again, and I know I say this, and again, I don't know how many people are going to want to watch me talk on for an hour on something. And there's a lot of points in there, but you may watch this. Sorry. Is we're going to play Japan, and then we're going to go back and play Germany. And then we're going to play another country. I don't know yet what that other country is. And once we're done with that other country, these two sort of longish series. Then once we're done with that other country, then we're going to go back and play Germany again. Excuse me. I figure by the time we're coming back to Germany, enough has changed in Black Ice to make it interesting enough to play again, and Germany gets the most views. But if I just play Germany over and over and over and over and over and over and over, that might, or I'm pretty sure would sort of kill things off. We did... Trying to remember what we did here. Maybe that's why we... Well, we can do this. Oh, I think we did artillery and the other upgrade thingy. But... Okay, we'll do that because we want to encourage good relations with the Soviets. So you know, do you want to watch a series of me ranting on, raving on how terrible I think the Soviet Union was before this period? Okay, good. We made it through that last little hiccup. Yes, if you're going to play Black Ice, you have to be willing to put up with these. You can do weekly saves. You can do monthly saves. I would do a minimum monthly saves, and you want to clear out your backlog of saves as well. And be prepared to replay. If any sort of crash stops you from playing games, from rage quitting, don't play Black Ice. Okay, don't believe this no longer have. We're going to have. Okay, and now we're at 80-20, so we're almost not guaranteed, but we're very likely to get whatever the positive thing here is. Money, more money. National revolt risk down looks like again to be the best thing, but recruiting time, well, we're not doing too many units right now. Doing a few. Doing more navy building. Illegal territory pride, don't need territory pride. Money, well, we're doing fair with money. So let's keep revolt risk down. So yeah, and there may be some of you watch me, or you know, to rant and rave about the Soviets, because that's what I'm afraid it's going to turn into, or I'm going to start a series and it's going to be boring for quite a while, even if we play at a fairly fast speed, but actually, you know, play as in make decisions here, you know, and think out defensive strategies until we get to Barbarossa, and then it might become interesting, but only then. And that's sort of, so I'm looking at a situation of where, yeah, people will, you know, once a week for a while just sort of show up and click on a video. Yep, it's 1938 still, nothing's happening. Oh, 1939. Still nothing's happening, and just, you know, keep doing that, and then I know you guys go, yeah, well, you could play a bunch before and then start the series, you know, just, you know, sometime before the Soviet invasion. Yeah, I could. It's going to take a lot of time, you know, my time, and I still would have to produce a regular show for you, so that just more time. Let's see the plans. Broadcasting, good. Chinese rebels, send in the Kempitai. That's what we did before, I think. The goon squads, police buildings, national revolt risk. Give them cake. See, I see efficiency and production is down 3%, but if we give them what they want, it's down 7%. This boosts ICs by 5%. This takes it down by 2.5%. Money down 30%. Money up 15%. National revolt risk up 5%. Consumer goods during war. Research down. Research up. Last time I did the Kempeitai, I almost give them what they want, because that's what I do is Germany, for multiple reasons, including historically what they did. Right now, let's see, we have our sort of less than 2% over China. We've already got lots and lots of military police. This is actually one's under the Kempeitai thing that we got. I think this time we're going to do police buildings, just to do something different. I don't pay enough attention to know which one is which one here. Research center, yeah, I figured that was a hospital. Desperate defense, no. Okay, police center. Okay, it's that one. Let's just do this. Okay, they didn't get one. I should have looked at Shanghai to see if they got one. Okay, well that's right now not seeming to change much. Though it is changing a bit down here. Okay. Okay. Cruiser damage control systems. Nice. We're going to stop that because it's pushing too far ahead. We're not America. I don't know that we're ever going to build heavy bombers or jet bombers, so we're going to leave that off. Yeah, we'll do armament research as well. Okay, now here I did send these guys in. Okay. Make sure we get resources as efficiently as possible. Oh, okay, that is there. And I shifted some of these guys. We have, yeah, some transports. Go in here. I got a bunch more police than we probably need right there. We need police in the area for sure, but yeah, I might as well send them there. So yeah, so that's like some of the reasons why I'm reluctant to do Soviet Union. Because yeah, I can rant and rave about how terrible Stalin was, and how they never did a good. They got lost their forces there, Italy. Too bad. How bad Stalin was, and how much I think it's you know, it's not like, oh well, because I think it's acceptable to be a communist, people should be allowed to be acceptable to be a switch. Oh, amphibious invasion tactics. Okay, amphibious invasion tactics. Okay, it's here. This one. Okay, but we're going to stop that because that is now inefficient. Ship defense or armor plating. Same basic thing. We'll do armor plating. You know, so it's not like, oh, well, we should be more accepting of Nazis. No, I think being a Nazi and being a communist are about equally bad. I get that people are more sensitive about race issues than other things, but just mass murdering people is still just mass murdering people. Because, you know, the communists do it to try to make a economic paradise. Now, of course, they have always made economic misery. There has never been a communist economic paradise. Okay, they've always created economic misery. The Nazis were trying to do a medical paradise, shall we say, or a genetic paradise. Get rid of all the inferior peoples. Now, again, please understand that I don't agree with that they're inferior peoples, that I don't agree with the philosophy. I'm completely against it. And one, not that I don't agree with it, a lot of their so-called science was just wrong. You know, bad science. Their what they were basing their stuff on was just categorically wrong. Okay, so even if you want to do because it's eugenics, the Nazi racial, they're racial eugenicists. There are modern eugenicists. You can see, you know, Star Trek addresses that with the Khan Nomi and Singh, you know, the Wrath of Khan and all that stuff, and trying to make genetically better people. Now, if eugenics is done in a additive way, meaning, and it's still, there's still a lot of moral questions. Trust me, I'm not saying I'm entirely comfortable with everything, but if it's done in an additive way, like, oh, well, we can go in and tinker with this gene. Now, this is one that I would, now maybe on planet Earth, there may be too many of us too quickly, but if we can expand out into the stars, oh, you could go, you increase the life, you know, the length of your life, you know, genetic manipulation. Oh, you can live 300 years. Great, sign me up for it. If you could do that to me right now, and there was no other side effects, and I wasn't going to get old and live, you know, as a super old person for 200 years, but live as a fairly youthful person, sign me up for it right now. Sign me up for it. If I had children that I could have that done to them, I would make that decision for them. You get to, you know, naturally, if you will, or artificially live longer, so long as you don't get hit by a car, you don't get a particular disease that they can't cure or whatever. You know, you get to live longer. I'm gonna say sign me up for that, or sign them up for that, if that can be done. And if it's done as an additive measure, meaning, oh, but it costs, you know, $1 million to have the stuff done. Well, if I had $1 million, okay, I'll do it. Now, so maybe only a few rich people will get to do it, and it'll be unfair in that sense, yes, but I would still, if I had the money, do it, either for myself or my children. I don't even have to think about that. Now, of course, in the earliest stages, we don't know all of the, what it's going to be like. You know, is it going to really last 300 years? You know, so it may be a few hundred years before this we would know the answer to the stuff. So I might be reluctant to be a test case. But if we had a good reason to believe, you know, it's been being done test case for 300 years, and now we know, and the people lived, and it's all good, and I was around at that time, sign me up for it. I don't even have to think about it. And you go, yeah, but it's unfair because most people don't get it. Yeah, okay, it's unfair. Life is unfair. But I'm there. So if eugenics is an additive kind of thing, now they talk about how with super abilities you become super aggressive. That's just a lot of Star Trek BS. We know that because they're just presuming it. Because no one has eugenically gone through the process and done it. But it made a good storyline. And it may be the fact, it may be what happens, but we don't know that. So if eugenics is purely an additive viewpoint, to me it is much more acceptable. But if you look at Margaret Sanger, who is a high leftist out there, and had one ranting and, well, no, had one going on about how terrible the U.S. was over Pinochet, and I should read Noam Chomsky. Well, I've read a bit of him, but I did go through university in the political science department that had a very heavy emphasis on Latin America. Yeah, I know their viewpoint. They're wrong. Noam Chomsky is an anti-American. Oh, I love this country, but I just want to tear it down. Yeah, you may. One, you claim you do. I don't believe you do. And two, you don't like the way it is. You want to radically change it, so you don't love the country. Oh, but there's racism in America. Racism is endemic to the human being, so racism is everywhere. It's just, do we try to not have it, or do we, fully embrace it? Well, again, we can go back to Margaret Sanger, you lefties out there, who was a big-time racist and a eugenicist, and wanted to use eugenics through abortion to eliminate the inferior peoples, often, or massive amounts of the inferior peoples were black peoples that she saw them, and she wanted to eliminate the excess of them, at least keep the sort of worker class, maybe, because they're big and strong and can do the work for the elites. But Margaret Sanger, who Hillary Clinton has gotten the Margaret Sanger Award, and to the point that she went to the banquet and accepted it, so you can't go, oh, well, somebody just gave her that award, doesn't mean that she approves of it. No, she was very proud to get the Margaret Sanger Award, a racist eugenicist. Yes, she supported abortion and women's birth control. Now, we all, I think, except for hardcore certain religious groups of people, most of us in the Western world, believe in the ability to conceive only when you actually choose to. Margaret Sanger promoted that up so that the lesser peoples who can't control their urges don't have to have excess babies. That was her reason for promoting it. We may agree that having condoms and birth control pills and those kind of things are a good thing, but her reasons for them were as bad as Hitler's. Not saying she was Hitler, but then again, there may be, if you're a right-to-lifer, there may be more people killed in America with our abortions than Hitler killed. So, yeah, so Margaret Sanger is still championed, and she's a eugenicist, and a eugenicist of the type that in one fashion or another wants to cull the inferior out of society. So if you're that type of person, I think you're evil. I think your views are evil. That is sort of what I call a reductive eugenicist. It's not like just going, oh, well, let's take that one really strong horse or really fast horse or whatever and breed it with another really strong and really fast horse. But hey, if that male happens to impregnate a sort of lesser horse female, oh, well, we've got to have an abortion to keep that other lesser horse being. No, it's just not going to be a racetrack winner, but it can still be a decent horse, And yeah, I know people get on the touchy of quality of life for people with Down syndrome and other things. Yeah, but that still isn't a reason to kill them. A lot of them seem very happy. They may not view life as the way we do, and so they may be more happy about life. So we get that, and so people can wear a t-shirt of Mao and not be punched in the face repeatedly as they walk down the street. I'm not saying they should be necessarily repeatedly punched in the face as they walk down the street, but they should feel like, oh my God, I might get punched in the face. Just like if they walk down the street wearing a picture of Hitler on their chest, they might get. And again, I'm not saying you should punch somebody because they're wearing a picture of Hitler on their chest, but you should feel the urge to do so. You should control your urge. Again, notice I'm not advocating violence. I'm actually advocating the opposite of violence. But it should invoke the similar emotions, is what I am saying. Mao and Stalin should invoke equally similar emotions. Now I understand, and I trust me, I do understand why it is more acceptable to have a Mao, because he seems more popular than Stalin, but a Mao t-shirt than a Hitler t-shirt. There is two reasons. One, our education and media system is populated by people who like Mao. Oh, he was too extreme, but he was doing it for a good reason. And two, we also had lots and lots of anti-Hitler propaganda during the war, and we didn't have lots and lots of anti-Stalinist propaganda during the war. So they should both be equally tarred with, because someone who was saying, oh, I forget who, but just recently someone was comparing, you know, talking about how in America we have a woman who knows nothing, who's gotten nominated for the Democratic seat, and she's a socialist, though I don't even think she really knows what socialism is. She's just likes the buzzwords and supports it. And if you listen to her speak about what and how and the terms that she uses about things, you know she knows nothing. She just, you know, she's been in a class and it's been mentioned and it sounds good, so she's spewing off some words, and it's nonsense, really, quite honestly. But and see, we're still playing the game. No, Belgium. Decline, but let's see how much. Okay, let's see if we can get some steel from the Soviets. Yes, I know I'm just ranting about them just a second ago. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, oh, we also need to look at small entertainment show, small heroic tales, or news and politics. Let's see. So she knows nothing, but she recently said, we should be fighting global warming like we fought Hitler. You know, mobilizing everything. Well, how do I put this? No one has convinced me that if we do all that they say, we're going to affect global warming. I would also say that, one, I think empirical evidence is that the last 10 or 15 years, the global warming has slowed up or stopped. Now, I will more than concede that before that time period, generally speaking, the globe has got a bit warmer. And I will, but I will also state I think some of the studies have been found that were pushing this were flawed. Now, of course, the studies that were pushing about 20 years before, and that we needed to do something about it, that we were going to enter into a new ice age, that was back in the 70s. And I remember being sort of afraid that, my God, we're going to be heading towards an ice age. Well, they got that one wrong. Oh, and these are some of the same scientists that then figured out we're going to be heating up in global warming. Literally some of the same scientists, not just throwing that out there. And I don't know the names. You can look it up if you don't believe me, and you shouldn't trust me. You should look it up if you really want to care about the issue. I say I don't think we have a clue as to why there has been the global warming, and I don't believe man has any effect on global warming. It could simply be the sun, which is the primary thing that warms the planet, could be more active, throwing off more heat. So it heats the planet up more. Okay. And and we do know it was warmer in the past, and then got colder, and then get warmer. And I don't mean just winter and summer. I mean during the Renaissance, there was a mini ice age, okay? I believe and it used to be up until about 1805, you can check the date, but right around that period, the Thames River in London used to freeze over so much that they put up stalls that would be there sort of permanently until, through the winter, called Frost's Fair in London. That no longer happens. Well before that, back in the Middle Ages, they used to grow grapes in northern England that were really good, meaning had lots of sun, because they were really sugary, for wine production. Not just could grapes grow, but grapes grew very well in northern England, which they don't today, unless you put them in a hot house and whatnot. But they don't do so well. So we know that there's been these global shifts, like we can see this in temperature. I don't know what creates them. I know that they have, in recorded historical past, they didn't have mercury thermometers, and doing tree rings talks about sunlight levels, not about warmth levels. So we can't quite do that. And, okay, so let's just say that either I'm wrong that man is creating global warming, or there is global warming and it's going to get really bad, and it's the sun, and it's the sun's fault. We didn't cause it. It's just going to start getting really hot. None of the people who are shouting about global warming are even considering the one easy fix for it. Okay? We can, within a year, we can cool down the planet as much as we desire. Okay? We can just cool down the planet as much as we desire. So go ahead and drive those muscle cars, have that big carbon footprint, no problem. Within a year, cheaply, and I do mean cheaply in dollar costs, cheaply, we can cool the planet down within a year. I mean, to the point that we could be like, oh my God, that glacier is sort of encroaching on London, and it's a 2-mile high glacier that's covering all of Britain. We can cool down well, I don't know if in 1 year it would cause that, but in a coolness that would in time cause that, we can do that. All we have to do is put a lot of particulates up in the sky. They have noticed cooling patterns when certain volcanoes have blown up. And since most of you who are watching this are younger than me, you weren't educated about nuclear war. I was educated about nuclear war because it was thought to be a likely thing. First, a bunch of bombs blow up. Lots of people die. Lots of things destroyed. For all the rest of the people, you know, the people living out here somewhere, you know, well, not in the city, but out here in the forest, that weren't going to be destroyed by all the bombs and the radiation. You know, they were too far away for the radiation and they were too far away for the bombs. They were all going to die in what was called a nuclear winter, because all of the ash and all of the stuff that gets put up into the sky was going to cool the planet. Okay, so all we have to do is put a bunch of ash up in the sky. Let's see. We could set off a bunch of nuclear bombs. Now, we don't have to do it in the city. There's, you know, there's possible cooling for the Tunguska event, whatever that was. We're not quite sure, and I'm sure I mispronounced it, but it hit out here somewhere that didn't actually hit the ground. Some sort of like maybe alien spaceship blowing up, or just a meteorite, is that the one, or whatever, that, or kind of thing that comes in and then gets close enough and heats up so much as it's coming through the atmosphere, and it's not necessarily made up of a very dense material, that it heats up so much and then it sort of like explodes. And that's what they think happened. That sort of put up a bunch of dust in the sky. We can pollute our sky with a bunch of debris and cool the planet if that's the need. And like I said, I mean, it doesn't have very big dollar costs to do it. Might have very big environmental costs, but then hey, we're getting the planet cool. So if that's really the problem, so yeah, we have a solution for that. We're going to do, I think, because we're going to go all the way through to at least late 41, another year. Organizational regain rate, yeah, nice, up to 1%. Ruling party support, that's nice. We're doing okay there. Yeah, we're going to do entertainment shows. They get more and more expensive as you go along in each level, so we'll probably not do one step above what we're doing now. So install our blueprint, sure plug. Wrong one, there we are. Radar training, that is here, I believe, yes, 42. Commander decisions. Hey, commanders, make better decisions. Twin engine gun position has advanced. Very nice. Oh, that is armament here. Why are we doing? Oh, I think, I bet you we will also find. Yep, twin engine gun ability. Greece. Okay, so force conquer on Greece. Look out for Greece, okay. So, and then one commentator after this woman said this thing is, nothing is as bad as Hitler. No one should ever make comparisons. Well, you know that, I'm sort of saying a bit more, you know, that, compare anybody to Hitler or anything to Hitler. I think the guy's full of... Oh, good. Finally, tank radio communications. Very good. We'll do that. I think it's a lot of BS, because I think Stalin and Mao were worse than Hitler. Hitler is, you know, sort of the very bad level, but there's worse than Hitler. Because creating sheer human misery, they outdid Hitler. Okay, they both outdid Hitler by big amounts. As our current ambassador to Germany says, you know, Hitler kills 6 million Jews and about 11 million people overall. So he's sort of threading that sort of loop of, because I've heard 6 to 12 million people, and he's sort of going, well, about 6 million Jews and about another 5 million other people. And even though he is a Republican, he is not trying to diminish whether you think it should be up or down a million or whatever for any one of the groups. He's not trying to diminish Hitler's negative impact on the world. But there are worse than Hitler. And although not as many in sheer numbers, but maybe worse for a percentage of people that they are responsible for of their nation. Pol Pot, who kills, you know, what is it? Sorry if I'm probably going to get this wrong, but 1 million of his 3 million population, or whatever it was, about 1/3 of the population. Oh, and Yugoslavia goes bye-bye. I think we're going to step through this here. So as a percentage of his population, or as the percentage of the Cambodian population, he kills more people, you know, as a percentage of the population, not as in sheer numbers. What is this? Koku betsu koto kisatsu. Okay. Oh, police centers. There we go. Tokyo, Maipayang, Barbinjiang, Mukden, Taipei, Zhaorong. Okay, cool. There we go. That was because we did the police buildings instead of sending in the goon squads. Okay, so we want to come over to this one. Right, okay, so we have lots of police buildings. I noted we didn't get any new ones there or there. How interesting. So goon squads might be a better choice because you can move the goon squads to where you need them to be. Okay, infantry support weapons have advanced. Very nice. And yes, you're sort of getting a taste of what my mind would be on if we're playing Soviet Union all the time. And we have a little more. Which isn't necessarily a positive thing. Now, you might really want to hear me talk about all of this, and that might be a let's look for resources. That's sort of the... Oh, they're still just moving down here. Yeah, we're going to let them move. They should have gone by sea now that I'm seeing that. Okay. Where are they going? Okay, one is going there already. I'm changing your tab. That wasn't the smartest move. And this one's, these are bigger units. Okay, that's going all the way down there. That'll be good. And we're still putting our little one there. And I guess we're going to leave that guy there. So you have Hitler, worse than Hitler, not nearly as bad as Hitler, but he's a standard. You can get worse. Radar for capital ships, very good. All of these, stop them now, which will help all that land base. Air warning radar. Yeah, we need to stop that one too. 44, much too. Artillery upgrade, yeah, that should have grayed out that, and I think we're all grayed out there. Okay, well, we've got the ship's radar, large ship radar, medium ship radar, and small ship radar. Got that. We'll unlock some of this stuff, which we may or may not be ready to research. And on this ongoing topic is, so what I have learned and I understand is that I'm making a show. Okay. Man, Germany's, well, I don't know, maybe Italian AI is just as good as German AI as to giving units to, so yeah. So I'm making a show here. And part of my show style, which may or may not be good, is long rambling talks while playing. Cruiser fire control system. That's grayed out. Okay. Infantry guns. Armor piercing cat. And so because I know this, I have to think. Yeah, that helps out a lot of like those tropical island garrisons. What will make a good show? And yes, I do, trust me, I do note some of my, well, they've got the air down here pretty fast. That's good for them. My failings and my limitations here, like I say, long rambling things. And yes, I know sometimes the rambling can end up slowing up the gameplay. Oh, the Italians have been aggressive and taken there, and this time actually moving aggressively forward. Infantry anti-tank, which, as I knew was going to happen, unlocks these other branches. Armored car designs, which is also grayed out, but we're going to come over here and upgrade that. I think the Japanese were the first to have the large scale, or yeah, as in numbers of stuff, not large as in big, but scale specialized amphibious landing vessels or boats or whatever. Because I've read, I almost said I know, but I've read that some of the stuff from the dedicated kind of thing from the Japanese use in the 30s before now is what inspired, looking at some of the stuff, either photos or I don't think it captured, but photos I think of some of their stuff inspired Higgins to create the Higgins boat landing type stuff. But the British were also doing that before, so I don't know who did it first. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Japanese did it before the British, but that's right now just a think. Okay, truck and prime mover reliability, good. We're going to shift that over to Special Forces branch, which helps a lot of those elite units get better. And Huff Duff, advanced. And we're going to come over here and look at that. High frequency direction finding, that's what that stands for. And is it submarine? Is active sonar? Oh no, that's up here. Yes, active sonar. We want that. That's going to help our escorts most assuredly stay alive and fight better. Well, okay, we're going to end the episode here. I hope I was entertaining enough, and like I say, that is a reason for this show existing. And on that, yes, let's thank you just for watching. I do appreciate your time. Thank you for liking the videos. It really helps out if you do like the videos, and to share these videos generally on social media. But hey, if you actually interact with real people, you can also tell them about the channel. Subscribe again if you haven't already, and of course I really love hearing from you. You can address any of these topics or other things of interest you think should be addressed here. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.